There's so many instances that I feel like I didn't belong somewhere. Sometimes it's so bad that I feel like I've convinced other people that I'm more qualified than I am, a better person than I am, more deserving than I am. I feel like an imposter. Why is it that we sometimes feel this way? What can we do about it? Hi, my name is SK, and welcome back to Heartstatic, the podcast where we tune into the thoughts, feelings, and everything we're too afraid to say out loud. Today's topic is imposter syndrome. I feel like it's a lot more common now than it was a few years ago, maybe a few decades ago, probably because we finally have a term for it. It's totally possible that somebody experienced it years ago, centuries ago, or it's possible that society now requires us to feel a certain way, to put on a certain persona in the workplace, in a relationship, in a friendship, whatever. And it leaves us more vulnerable to feel like we're not good enough, like we don't deserve to be where we are. Because society, or because you, hold yourself to such high standards that might seem impossible for you, you're bound to feel that way one way or another. And you have to think to yourself, who set those limitations in place? It's hard to fight those feelings of self-doubt, of inadequacy. Those are frankly bound to happen. Studies show that there's a wide percentage of people who experience imposter syndrome, going from 9 to 82%. And people experience it all across the board. When you Google imposter syndrome, there are a lot of things that come up. You got quizzes saying, do you have imposter syndrome? Click here to find out. You have Google AI telling you, if you have these symptoms, you probably have imposter syndrome, anxiety, depression, and probably cancer. So maybe don't Google your symptoms. But I Googled the symptoms of imposter syndrome just to give an outline if you don't know what that is. And there's like 7 quote-unquote symptoms for it. So I'm just going to rattle them off really quickly. Number 1, you could feel like a fraud. Number 2, doubting your abilities or achievements. Number 3, attributing success to external factors like luck or someone's help. Number 4, fear of being exposed as incompetent. Number 5, hypercritical of oneself. Number 6, difficulty accepting compliments or praise. Number 7, perfectionism. And number 8, anxiety about making mistakes. I lied. There was 8. As I read through those, I realized that I experienced this a lot more than I thought I did. So, if you have experienced these symptoms, you're between the 9 and 82% of people who also experience them. Now, as important that research is, it's also important to know how technical it can be. If you've never written a research paper before, there's literally a portion in the outline that you have to write the limitations of your experiment, of your survey, of your whatever. You're not going to get a perfect number. It's impossible unless you were to somehow be able to contact every single person on the planet, translate it so they know what the hell you're asking, and get their responses. Like, that's not something that's realistic. So, as much as I'd like to rely on statistics, that's not practical. There's a reason why I don't want to harp on hard facts, on statistics, on papers. There's a certain quality that is given when you experience something personally. Granted, it's nice to know that you're not alone in experiencing something, whether you're the 9% or the 82% of people. But the reason that number is so big is because they only interviewed mostly women, or only college students, or a bunch of people from one country. Like, it's so hard to get one true answer. That's why I'm on here giving you my personal experiences, or my friends' personal experiences. What I tell you is real. What I tell you on here is raw. It's something that you can actually rely on. And I'll dive into my personal experience. The easiest example I can come up with is starting this podcast. I initially started it because I felt like I had something to say, and I was super excited to post my first episode. Yay, first episode! And then as soon as I posted it, I realized what I signed on for. And I was thinking to myself, why do I deserve putting my words out there? I was kind of worried about putting my voice online and telling people about my experiences or things that I wish I told myself, it's hard, it's weird. And I'm sure there are people out there who are like, why is she putting that online? I feel like I have things to say that deserve to be put online, but that doesn't stop the feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy. I still feel like I don't deserve being here. Like, what do I have to say that is more important than anyone else's things to say? Why do I deserve a platform? Everybody should start a podcast. Everybody has things to say. So why am I saying them? As I was researching how to start a podcast and, listening to podcasts and how to start a podcast, because how else are you supposed to start? I found a lot of pressure to advertise, how to make money off your podcast. And then I'm thinking about all the content creators that I know and all the YouTubers and all the podcasts that I really like listening to. And I'm trying to think how do they do this? How could they stand the pressure? How could they stand the comments? I mean, I really only have friends and family listening to me right now, but say this were to grow, say this were to grow, and then 2 years time, people listen back to the second episode and they're like, wow, she was so small. Now she's so big. She has her logo on a sweatshirt and stuff. She's like the real thing. But I started feeling a lot of pressure to conform, to put on a persona, to fit myself into a mold so that I can become an entrepreneur, so that I can sell my words, sell my thoughts. And as much as I'd like to make money off of this podcast, that's not something I'll see for a really long time. But I still find myself putting pressure onto what I say, how I say it, and I feel pressure from the hypothetical fans. The hypothetical fans are going crazy. They're saying, and of course these hypothetical fans are just people in my brain saying, why did she say that? Why did she say it like that? I don't really align with what she's saying. And by the way, they all sound like that in my head. Just so you know. So you just imagine 10 of those at all times in my brain. That's what it feels like. It's I'm trying to appease myself. It's myself. I set these limits up for myself. I imagine these boundaries that I have to meet, that I have to cross in order to achieve what it is that I want to become. But what I want to become is something that's unachievable, or at least right now, or how I feel that I'm creating, the quality of work that I'm producing doesn't align with the perception that I have. Maybe that means that my quality of work sucks and I think it's great. Or what more aligns with imposter syndrome is, and what I feel is that I think it sucks, but people like it. I find myself procrastinating a lot on working on this. It's this weird oscillation between, I can't stop thinking about it all day, and I come home and I look at the mic and I'm like, oh, but what if what I say doesn't come out right? What if I'm already here editing what I'm saying? I'm cutting and pausing and I'm replaying to remember what I said. I'm thinking, no, that's not right. And I literally repeat the same thing just in a slightly different tone for it to match with the previous clip or for it to match with the vibe of the podcast. And I'm just so focused on what it should be, what I expect it to be. And what I expect it to be is I compare it to all the podcasts that I listen to. And obviously those have been existing for years, decades even. And it's like, no shit, mine doesn't sound like that. This is my second episode. But knowing that doesn't get rid of those feelings. You have no idea how many times in my life where I've come to, the mental conclusion of something, where I've solved the problem that's causing me emotional distress, and I've gotten to the point that I need to be mentally, but my heart just hasn't caught up yet. It doesn't get rid of the feelings that I have about it. And that's what I feel like imposter syndrome is. No matter how many times people tell you, you're doing enough, you're doing a good job, you're doing a great job, we're here supporting you. You just can't accept it. You don't believe it. You think they're being too nice. You think you got to where you are because you're lucky. You think you got to where you are because someone didn't see all the mistakes that you've made previously. That's something so hard to get over, get past, especially as each task or each event keeps piling up. Each situation is different. So the feelings are going to be the same, just in a different font. I feel like there are a lot of things that exacerbate these feelings. Number one big culprit, in my opinion, is social media. The amount of times that I've felt so insecure about what I post in my Instagram, the amount of followers that I have, literally today, I was like, why is no one liking my Halloween post? And then I look at all my friends who have like, I don't know, over 1,000 followers, and I'm like, where are my 1,000 followers? It's stupid. It's performative. I mean, it feels absolutely lovely to post a picture online and have all your friends and family and maybe people you don't even talk to commenting, so beautiful, heart eye emoji, I love this. But every time I comment on someone's post, yes, it's because I love them and it's because I support them, but it's like, I could just tell you that in person. This is just digital evidence of that. Why do I need to comment on your post for you to know that? And even though I know this, I still feel that pressure to get the best angle, to have the right lighting, to have something Instagram worthy to post. Because I want the likes, because I want those stupid gushy comments of, so sexy. It makes me feel good, but it's performative. And I find myself performing to a standard that I made up in my head. If I don't get those likes, if I don't get those ushy-gushy comments, then I feel like I did something wrong. I feel like I don't deserve posting anything anymore. Social media tends to create a cycle of needing to achieve posts that are Instagram worthy, that are worthy of these comments. And if I don't, then I don't belong here. By comparing myself to my friends, to famous people, to anyone that I follow, really, I get insecure. I try to perfect every picture that I post. I try to make it worth something so that I feel like I belong here, so that I feel like I have something that's worth praise. Even though it's all fake, it's all so performative. No one's gonna post online how they're doing poorly. Unless that's the whole point of their Instagram, in which case, like, it's still kind of performative. You're creating content. You're creating content to master your own personal brand, and no one's gonna put on there all the mistakes you made along the way to get there. People delete their old pictures that they didn't look the best in, or that didn't get as many likes as, your newer posts. And we're trying to master a form of perfect that really doesn't exist. I want to talk more about social media in a future episode, so I'll keep it at that for now. But let's jump to another example, career expectations. I feel like it's the same thing, but, put a blazer over it. It's just that you're comparing yourself to your boss, to your coworkers, to, I don't know, the CEO, the mayor, whatever. Whatever job you're in. There's so much pressure in the application process alone, before you even get a job, to put on this facade of like, yes, I know how to interview. I am a good interviewee. Please hire me. I need a job. No one speaks the way they do in interviews in real life. No one's ever going to come up to you and be like, hi, how are you? And you respond with, hi, I'm SK. I'm currently working on a podcast and my strengths and weaknesses are blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, in order to get the job that you want, you have to kind of fit yourself into the mold of that job. You got to do research. You got to alter your resume to make sure whatever your previous experiences aligns with the requirements of the job you're applying for. No wonder people experience imposter syndrome in the workplace. I mean, the application process alone is geared towards making you feel like you have to fight for who you are. And you have to sell yourself. You have to fight for your capabilities, for your responsibilities, for your ability to do the job. And say you do work hard. Say you go through the application process. Say you get the job and you work there for a while. You get promoted. And now you have all this responsibility. Depending on what kind of job you have, you might be threatened by other coworkers, other employees that might be able to do the job better than you. Or more than likely, they're better at selling themselves than you are. Granted, yeah, that's how your future employers know your capabilities, know who you are, they get to know you. Yeah, you have to sell yourself to a certain extent, but no matter how much effort you put into the role that you have or the role that you earned, you still probably feel this pressure to do better, this need to strive towards a form of perfection that isn't really achievable. I mean, I see a lot of creators on TikTok recreating experiences they've had in the workplace, and a common theme I see is supervisors requiring their employees to work outside of working hours. And I know now it's like a thing with Gen Z to not quite quitting, but just like, having a work-life balance and leaving the job once, 5 o'clock hits, and how that might be an issue with older employers, non-Gen Z employers. Work-life balance and just like work life, I feel, has shifted. Because there's so many generations that are in the workplace right now, there's a lot of different expectations, and there's some things that are just set in stone that are impossible to change. One of them being the need to sell yourself. The need to push past your capabilities, your limitations of being a human being, just sitting down and working. I'm really grateful that my current job, they know that I'm a human being, and they know that, life can get in the way sometimes. Of course, they always encourage me to work to the best of my abilities and to let me experience all that I can in the workplace. And they want me to engage in projects that I'm genuinely interested in. Like, I truly believe that I am obtaining as much as I can from the job and doing everything to the best of my abilities, but they know that, like, if I'm having, a shit week, a shit day, they're not gonna expect the same temperament. The quality of work will still be the same, and I've told them this. And it's not like I'm bawling at work being like, I can't do this. But I'm just, like, not gonna have the same energy, but the fact that that's not a given is frightening. We're constantly striving to perform outside of our capabilities, and it makes us doubt what we are capable of. Like, no shit, I feel like I don't belong here. The environment of the workplace in general is trying to push me past my limitations, so I'm constantly worried that, like, what if I don't meet them where they want me to be? If I'm not in a mental state where I can bear to slap a smile on my face and pretend everything's fine and that nothing outside of work is happening to me, am I going to get punished? Am I going to get chastised for being unprofessional? Do I not deserve this job if I'm not capable of separating myself in that way? If I'm not willing to dedicate every hour of every day to this job? You could be the most successful person and still feel like, how did I get here? I don't think I really put as much effort as I could have, or like I should have pushed myself more. Maybe I could have gotten here faster, or, there's still more that I can climb. There's still more that I can get to. That's bound to have negative effects on someone. Like, if I can't do what they're asking me to do, then I'm not good enough. I don't deserve this job. I don't deserve to be here. Or the minute I stop pushing myself, the minute I stop trying to prove to them that I'm worth being here, the minute I stop stressing myself out about this job, is a moment that this can be taken away from me. I can't let them notice that I don't belong here because of a mistake I made. I somehow got lucky enough that they drew my resume, and I can't let them know that I don't belong here. They're waiting for me to fail. There's some things that we do that can potentially make imposter syndrome worse. You could hang out with people who put value of achievement over value of personhood or personality, and I feel like that's also very applicable in the workplace. Like, if someone only views you as what you have done for your job and not what you're capable of with your personality, it's stripping you of your value. Your life and your existence is not limited by the things that you have done. It's who you are. It's how you interact with people. It's what you are capable of. It's what you're potentially capable of. Basing your value off of your past achievements is backward thinking. What makes you the most productive as a human being is the potential to grow, the potential to become more. And as much as you'd like to, you can't be perfect on the way to get there. You can't do everything perfectly in order to achieve your potential. And if you're harping on everything that you've achieved, you're devaluing yourself. You're limiting yourself to who you were. Yes, you should still strive to have more achievements, but that's not all you're worth. We also might refuse to find joy in anything else except work. Again, what you do at work is not all of you. Even if you love your job, if you love your job, great. That's like being able to do your dream job for your life. That's That's amazing. Absolutely. In that case, yeah, there are more overlapping instances of you and who you are at work. Yeah, sure, totally. But you're still a person outside of that. That's not all that there is to you. You might have a tendency to engage in negative self-talk. I'm a failure. I only got here because of luck, or somehow some robot drew my resume and the stars aligned and I got this job. I might have taken this job from someone who's more deserving, who's more capable than me, who can handle this better than I did. Hypothetical candidates who never make mistakes. That's just going to strip you down. That's going to wear you down and make you truly believe that you don't deserve everything that you've worked towards. Truth is, you got there because you fought for it, because you sold yourself the right way, because you did all of your past achievements and you shed blood, sweat, and tears for them, and you are truly putting your best foot forward, trying your absolute hardest, and you got to where you were. You deserve that. You deserve to be where you are. Only you got yourself there. No luck, no lucky stars. Your efforts, your ability to achieve, your achievements in the past, and your potential all have something to do with you. They speak towards you and your character. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. But harping on that and reveling in it might motivate you, but it won't lead to a healthy life, mentally and emotionally. Everybody's human. You have to take the mistakes in stride and not let it tear you down and make you feel like you're a failure for making them. Making mistakes is how you learn, and as terrible as it sounds, the bigger the mistake, the less likely you are to make that same mistake again. Striving to be perfect is good, but perfect doesn't exist. What does exist is you doing your best. You doing your best is the closest that you can come to being perfect. And that is what you should strive for. I'm actually going to tell you about a time where I made a mistake that keeps me up at night sometimes. And every person I've told this story to, they cringe, so buckle your belts and your seatbelts and wherever you're listening to this. I worked at a country club for a month. Just because I needed a job for a month. I don't know how I got that job. And they knew when I was leaving, so it's not like I just dipped. But after a few weeks of training, I had my first and last day working independently. No person that I was shadowing. And up until this point, I practiced serving glasses on a tray and how to put it in front of them, always be on their right side, how to hold the drinks, how to take them off the tray without spilling it everywhere. I learned all this stuff and I was confident in my capabilities. And on this last/first day, it was buffet style, so I only had to serve the drinks. I didn't have to serve food, nothing like that. However, the one table that I was assigned to, it was a 14 top, so it was this rectangular table where everybody was shoulder to shoulder. Up until this point, I had only practiced circular tables where there was like 6 to 8 people and there was space in between each person, so I could kind of like get in between them and put glasses down. This member and his wife were very well loved by all the staff members, and they're like, oh, they'll be super easy to you, they're super nice, you'll do fine. And I'm like, yeah, SK, you'll be fine. So I took all the orders. I had to give 2 white wines and 2 Aperol spritzes. So I went to the bar, ordered those drinks, put them on the tray, and walked over to the table. And then I took 1 wine glass off, leaned forward to put it in front of that person, and as I leaned forward, the tray leaned with me, and I spilled the 3 drinks all over the 3 people who ordered them. And glass shattered, they got all soaking wet, and I was like, holy shit, I mean, I didn't swear to them, but in my brain I was like, holy shit! I was like, I'm so sorry, I'll clean this up right now. And I've asked while I was being trained, like, what if I mess up? What if I spill something? They're like, you won't. Oh, okay, well, I did. So I didn't know what the protocol was. Nobody freaking told me. So I ran to my manager. I was like, I spilled drinks on, this table. I have to go get more. I don't know what to do. How do I clean up glass? I'm on a patio. She's like, okay, you're fine. Go get the drinks that you spilled from the bartender again, reorder them, and come back. So that's what I did. I went to the bartender, said, yeah, so I spilled those. Can I get a white wine and 2 Aperol spritzes, please? She gave me a dirty look. Made them anyway. Gave them to me. Walk up to the table. And I do the same thing again. I lean forward, give the Aperol spritz, spill the white wine and the second Aperol spritz all over the already wet guests. And I was still holding it together. I was still fine. Again, glass broke. I didn't know what to frickin' do, because not only did I fuck up once, I fucked up twice at the same table, the same people. Oh my god. I'm getting like, my hands are shaking from telling the story. But, oh my gosh. So, I was like, fine. I told I think my manager might have seen that, and she like did damage control, and she's like, why don't you go up to the staff bathroom and we'll figure it out. Basically, go hide. And so I was like running around. I don't remember what I was doing, but I remember I was like, okay, you know what, I think I did enough. I think I was trying to pick up glass with my hands, and then I went up to go to the bathroom, and as I was walking up, the member's wife came up to me, and you know when you're like holding it together and then somebody asks you if you're okay and it just comes right out of you? She asked me if I was okay because she's a caring, nice person. Actually, I don't think she asked me. I think she told me. She's like, you're okay, you're fine. And I just sobbed the whole like, like, and I was just like nodding, trying not to blubber all over her. And I somehow made it to the bathroom, and I like just lost my marbles up in there. I called my mom. I was like, I don't know what I did. I don't know how to do this anymore. I'm never gonna be a server again. So that was a pretty traumatic mistake I made at a job. Now, I never went back. No shit. I never technically quit, never technically got fired, so it's like fine. I only worked there for a month, so it's not going anywhere. I mean, that was a really big mistake that I made, and it still haunts me to this day. But I know that, like, I'll never do that again. I'll never serve white wine and Aperol Spritz to anyone ever again. If anyone ever says, oh, do you know how to make an Aperol Spritz? No, make it yourself. I can't do it. Ah! And run out of the room. I can't drink Aperol Spritzes now. White wine is great, though. Not the Sancerre. All other white wines are fine. Don't give me a Sancerre. I'll bawl my eyes out. No, but like from that experience, I did learn how to serve drinks when people are shoulder to shoulder from each other. I'm too afraid to ever apply for a server job ever again, and I hope and pray that I'll never need to. Like I'll go to retail, fold clothes all day. Don't hand me a tray with wine on it, please. But point is, like, I know that, when you lean over to give something on the tray, don't lean the tray with your body. Hold it upright. And I know how annoying wine glasses are to hold, so now every time I pour myself wine or I give wine to anyone, I make sure to grip the bottom of the glass instead of the stem, which is what they taught us, because it's like unprofessional or something. I'm so freaking careful with all of my wine glasses now. And obviously this is a very minute mistake regarding professional experiences, but it's still, I mean, to me, it was a really big mistake that I made, especially after working towards making sure I serve the drinks right and feeling confident in my abilities of doing that. And I will never, ever, ever forget it. I really hope they got that Aperol Spritz out of their clothes. Oh, moving on from that. I feel like there's a few things that you can do to deal with imposter syndrome if that's something you're interested in. And this is my advice. This is something that I've felt that's helped me. If you have any other suggestions, please feel free to comment down below. That would be super awesome. And you could maybe help anyone else who's listening to this episode. I have 2 steps here. Number 1 is removal. So remove people who are toxic or encourage you to be anxious about your place of work or social media or whatever. That might be hard. There might be some people who you can't necessarily remove, and that will make it a bit more complicated. Like maybe it's your parents or your boss and you're just not in a position where you can quit that job, in which case you have to kind of remove the effect that this person has on you, kind of eliminate the way that they can make you feel. And that's something that's very hard to do, obviously. But every time that they say, like, you're not good enough, or you need to try harder, or you're not doing all that you can when you feel like you are, you have to remind yourself that you know your own capabilities. You know your own limits. You can't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. And that takes a lot of practice. That takes a lot of effort on yourself, but you will be better for it. And you could relapse. You could, a few months in, you're like, yeah, I'm doing good, this person doesn't affect me anymore, and then they say that one thing and you're like, they're right. They're probably not, but you might think that to yourself, you might feel that way. So the way to supplement that is to remove that negative self-talk, to just get rid of that need to talk badly about yourself. Like, you gotta stop saying, like, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I'm worthless, I'm a failure. You can't talk to yourself like that. Imagine if somebody spoke to you that way as a kid. Imagine if you spoke to yourself that way as a kid. How would that kid feel? How might that impact the development of that kid? Step 2 is addition. So you have to learn, like I said, you have to learn that you don't need that person's approval to feel validated if someone's telling you that you're not valid. You have to appreciate everything that you are, and if that means journaling, if that means going to therapy, if that means talking to your friends or finding new ones, finding better positive influences, yes, do that. And you gotta rewire your brain from negative self-talk. It's kind of easier to do this step 1 removal and step 2 addition at the same time. So like, I saw this video one time on TikTok where, because where else am I supposed to get my information? There was a video of this owner recording a dog, and they rang the doorbell, and the dog came happy as ever with a pillow in its mouth towards the door. And first glance, that's adorable. Second glance, that's actually kind of smart. Now, I don't know if the owners did this on purpose or not, and if anybody has that TikTok, please comment that down below. I mean, it's super niche. I couldn't tell you who posted that, but it's freaking adorable. Anyway, it's actually kind of smart because it's harder to train a dog to not do something than to just make it do something else. So I'm going to assume that every time that they rang that doorbell, the dog would start barking. And instead of getting the dog to not bark, they trained the dog that every time they hear the doorbell, put a pillow in your mouth. And then go up to the door and like bring the guest a pillow. And then you get 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, that's fucking adorable. You walk into your friend's house for the first time and their dog brings you a pillow. Thank you. I will cherish this forever. Number 2, the pillow is in its mouth, so it literally can't bark. And if it tries to, it's going to sound very muffled, and it's better than full-on barking. So in that same instance, by the way, you're the dog in this scenario. You're the dog in this scenario. So instead of saying, I'm stupid, I'm a failure, you can replace it with, oh, that was silly, or I'll just do better, or now I'm learning from this. I'm learning. It's good that I went through this because now I can know not to do it or to do something different. As I'm saying it out loud, if I were to tell myself this, I'd be like, oh my God, no. That's cringy as fuck, but it works. I thought the same thing when I, heard somebody say this to me. It's so important how you talk to yourself because that's the language that you speak to yourself. That's the internal monologue, the echo chamber of your brain. If you have all this, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm ugly, I'm whatever, you're gonna feel that way. So by saying like, no, I'm learning, no, I'm getting better, no, I know never to do this again or to do it differently this time, you'll start to feel that your potential is more than you initially thought it was, that you are capable of change. You're not stuck in your ways. No matter how old you are, no matter how stubborn that you may be, if you choose to change something about your life, you can, and you will, if that is something that you decide. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for listening. If you like my intro-outro music, they were made by my friend Dari Kolchitsky, and you can find more of his information at warmglowrecords.com. Once again, that's warmglowrecords.com. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow this podcast wherever you find yours. Also follow the Instagram at heartstaticpodcast, where I post questions, updates, and anything you want really. Just DM me and let me know what you'd like to see. And I'll see you in the next episode.